Hello and welcome. If you are looking for a business degree in any part of the world, how should you, as an Indian student, approach it? If you're looking to go to London, what should you consider as possibly the first choice of a business school? Well, to talk about all that, I have Gaurav Jain of SP Jain's London School of Management to talk about the details. Thank you so much, Gaurav, for joining us. You're driving the London campus at the SP Jain School of Global Management. It's a great time to be doing that because students want a global career. You've yourself studied in Australia and the US and now driving the London campus. Tell us a little bit about how the worldview of education is and how can students leverage the London campus?
Well, thank you so much for having me. There are many ways students can leverage the London campus. So I have myself studied in the United States, in Australia, both great places to do your education. At the moment, of course, the United States is a little difficult for students given the situation in the student visa. Australia is also a very good place for education. However, if you're looking to do a one-year master's degree, you won't get the post-study work rights in Australia, but you will in the UK, in the United Kingdom. Now, the UK has a very strong and respected academic pedagogy going back hundreds of years. And they've had the time to really develop the way they want the academics to impact students. And at the center of the pedagogy is student outcomes. So while other countries are strong in academics, I still feel they lag behind in terms of having students memorize for exams, having students work hard just to pass the class, having students, just look at their education. However, in the UK, the pedagogy is really around how the student speaks about the specific course after they've completed it. An independent study is very important in the UK. Students must be able to learn how to learn and be a lifelong learner. This will serve them throughout their career, throughout their life.
Okay. So given what UK's and London's economy are, the socials, the way the social circle is in the city, what opportunities could be there for Indian students going to UK for their higher studies?
For Indian students, I always tell them Indian mindset, global opportunities. And there is no city more global than London. You have top talent from the United States, from Asia, from Europe, from Africa, and from the UK itself, all in one city. And the Indian mindset of leveraging different opportunities, seeing things from a different viewpoint. Students have a fantastic opportunity in understanding how the UK works, how London works, and able to bring that maybe back to India, or wherever they go, they would have that sort of understanding of how different things work. Now, the UK is a very diverse economy. Okay, there's various different industries in the UK, whether that be in pharma, finance, consultancy, startup culture, which is also very important. And it has some of the, all the top companies are headquartered there. This allows students to get a wide variety of experiences. A student coming to SP Jain or another university might come in with a certain mindset that they want to go into the consultancy industry. But given the changing nature of the consultancy industry in the AI world, they might want to look at different opportunities They don't have that opportunity in many countries, but in the United Kingdom, given the diversity of companies that exist there, those opportunities do exist.
So the next question then, and it's something that's often discussed among students and their families, their parents, is the salary expectation. And given the economic scenario that exists in UK and in London,
Yeah.
and comparing it with the Indian scenario, what would you like to say about that?
You define your future. Who dares wins.
Okay.
The tagline can always be said, Indian students don't get jobs in the UK post-graduation. They don't get jobs because they're not prepared for those jobs correctly. You have to look at your skill set. You have to be ready to avail of different opportunities, and you have to be ready to sit down in the interview with understanding the British culture. That is hugely important when looking for a job in the UK. The UK has many opportunities. Unlike maybe some other countries, top talent flocks to the UK. It's a very competitive market. The opportunities are incredible, but you must have the skill set to get those opportunities. Students, Indian students, sometimes in their education, that focus completely on the education, but I'd always tell students from day one, you need to explore the city, you need to go around, you need to think about your future post your education. Of course, at SP Jain, we help students, have a deeper mindset of these activities. However, students really need to be prepared on day one. It's no longer a case that you just get your degree and then you're ready for a job. Now you have to really be put yourself in the mindset of an employer and see what value you can add to that company.
So the wider issue then gains importance. London's social and the economic opportunities, as well as what you can see around. How does that one impact Indian students, and how does it shape them?
Yes. Well, Indian students or students from anywhere need to hear from industry leaders about the future of the workplace, of the way employers will hire, of what employees will do in the companies. And essentially, they have a lot of opportunity to be at various different events in London specifically. London is a massive city. There's so many activities happening in London. Students can go to AI conferences, conferences on the future of the workplace, conferences, top leaders from the US and Silicon Valley fly down to London to give these talks during Tech Week. Leaders from Asia fly down to London to give talks about, how trade is going to impact, companies in the future. Students' minds must be molded, and this is one of the ways that they can really take opportunity of their location outside the classroom.
So, Gaurav, how does the London campus of SPJN stand out vis-a-vis other management schools? And when Indian students have to evaluate, how should they be looking at it?
Yes. Traditional British schools are a little slow to adapt to the changing world. SPJ in London is far more nimble, and we have far more ability to move quickly. The world is changing rapidly, as you know. Indian students need to be able to keep up with the change, and the academics need to be able to keep up with the change. And in doing so, we have a large focus on AI. We have many mentors that come into the campus to talk about a day in their life, being a consultant in London or, being in the finance industry in London. This really helps our students understand the changes that are being made. Of course, other universities are strong on the academics, but we really focus on broadening the mind of the student in this landscape. Now, coming back to the tagline that you had previously, Indian students don't get jobs. I just want to add, if they're not prepared for those jobs. What we do to ensure that students are prepared for the jobs is threefold. We have our professional readiness program. This program looks at students' CVs, LinkedIn profile, cover letters, but it also runs a series of mock interviews. If you are not prepared for the interview, you can get many opportunities, but you will not get a job at the end. You must be prepared for the interview, which Indian students are not prepared for that interview post their education in most universities. We run a series of mock interviews which are designed to assimilate Indian students into the British culture. Again, if Indian students do not fit the British culture, they are very unlikely to get the job. So essentially, we create an environment in which Indian students have the opportunity to introduce themselves, the soft skills around the interview. How do you shake the hand? How do you make sure that you understand what the question of the interviewer is? These skills are very important and oftentimes overlooked. And these skills really make or break how the interviewer perceives you and how the interviewer will take you to the next stage. So we have to ensure that students are ready for the interview before they get the opportunity to go for the interview. This is something that we implement from day one. So you sit for your orientation, and then right after that, we have a PRP session with students. Other thing that we do is that we have a conversation with the students. What are the opportunities that you would like? In doing so, we then take what the student is looking for into industry with our partners in different corporations. And what we do is we come back to the student with a set of opportunities. Could be for internship, it could be for placement. And in doing so, we link specific students with specific opportunities. Oftentimes, students have a scattergun approach. They'll just apply for maybe 100 jobs. But oftentimes, that might not be the best approach, where you focus on maybe 4 to 5 opportunities and tailor your all your documents to those opportunities and tailor your questions to those opportunities. And our third thing that we do, possibly one of the most important things we do, is have students work with our AI tutor to improve their interview skills. Now, of course, we train you in person on the soft skills, but what our AI tutor can do is it can essentially give you a mock interview from a specific company. Say you want to go into Amazon as a sales director in Amazon. What it can do is it can pretend to be a sales manager at Amazon and ask questions exactly like they would. Sometimes the exact questions that they would ask. And so what this does is once the student is in the interview, it just gives them tremendous confidence. I've answered this question before. I know what I'm doing. I'm essentially ready to give the interview a full reply. They're not thinking on the spot, essentially. So these are the 3 activities we do, and we've seen quite good success in our students getting jobs, not only in the UK, but also in Dubai, in India, in other locations as well. Students like to move up and down. So I think the way we prepare students for jobs allows Indian students to actually get jobs in the UK.
That's very interesting because each of these small things could end up being very big. Okay, so that also brings me to the other part of the conversation about the way you do things.
Yeah,
How does that immerse the Indian student or Indian students, if I may say, in the cultural as well as the business landscape for UK and London?
absolutely. We want students to not only learn in the classroom, we want students to learn out of the classroom. Our current campus is based in Canary Wharf. Canary Wharf, you can think about it as the Wall Street of London, all the high-rise buildings at JP Morgan and BCG and all of those different companies are right there. And we organize trips for students to go into those specific companies and hear from employees of those specific companies. We've currently taken our students to HSBC, Bank, Salesforce, Deliveroo, OMD Marketing, and we're going to a startup called eTuro, which is a UK-based startup that's grown quite exponentially over the last years. And in doing so, the student gets out of the classroom mindset and into the real world mindset. And having those discussions with those people, just being in that company environment, seeing where they work, seeing the day-to-day activities that they do, seeing the initiatives that they're taking, and as I always say, how their jobs are constantly changing and how employees are constantly adapting is just hugely transformative for students. It really pulls them out of their comfort zone sometimes and puts them into, life after university. We also want our students to be well-rounded. It's not all about the academics and it's not all about the jobs. They also have to be a well-rounded person. In the age of AI, we want our students to be able to communicate with people and have the soft skills as well. We take them for cultural events around London so that, even if they, choose to go wherever they do, they can say that, oh, London, yes, I've been to Wembley Stadium, which we've taken them to. I've been to the Tate Modern Museum. I've experienced, riding down the River Thames. These experiences essentially grow the person and they become a more well-rounded person at the end of the journey. And it's so important. Of course, the academics, very important. The job's very important. But at the end of the day, the student also has to be, very culturally immersed in London and has to, understand the landscape. This goes back to the soft skills and fitting into the British culture that we offer.
So, Gaurav, also the FTA between India and the UK doesn't include an opportunity for student mobility. What would you say to the students, particularly because they would want that to happen?
Yes, of course, the students would like that to happen on various different accounts, maybe visa, ease, or different accounts. But I would say to students, focus on your own skills, and business will listen to you, and government will listen to you. Even though there might not be anything Indian student specific, there's still Indian company agreements that have taken place between the two nations. And that all opens an opportunity for Indian students. There's going to be far more trade between the United Kingdom and India. And companies will look for employees that can understand both cultures. Diageo, for example, is now, going to do far more trade with India, given the reduced tariffs. And they would need students that can understand the British culture as well as the Indian culture and can harness the expertise of both. So I think it's a great opportunity for Indian students to possibly even, create entrepreneurial ideas. Given the trade deal now, it's a great opportunity for them to leverage the knowledge they gain in the UK, implement in India, and build something logistically between the two countries. Of course, the student, would need that foresight, and obviously that's where we come in and help the student. But the potential is tremendous now that the two countries have opened up. And of course, the reduction in NHS surcharge for Indians going over to the UK is just a boon.
And what you said earlier, who dares wins.
Yes.
So maybe that. But that also leads to the next question about the postgraduate opportunities that come up. What could that be, keeping in mind the opportunities for Indian students?
Yes. So I think you're talking about the graduate visa that
Graduate
students
visa.
can avail of at the end of their studies. I would say that oftentimes students after their education need a little bit of breathing space, maybe to explore different opportunities, maybe to think of different ideas, and the post study time that they have in country gives them that opportunity to do so. And essentially, we have students that come to us, they might come to us thinking that I only want a finance job. But through the different activities that we take them on, industry visits that we take them on, for example, to Deliveroo, it suddenly opens their eyes. And suddenly they think, well, finance is not the only opportunity for me. I can do various other things. And that post-study work, right, or the post-study time that they have gives them that space to sit and think about their future and discuss it with the school as well. Because we oftentimes guide students through that process. But the industry that the students choose is gonna be with them for a period of time. So oftentimes it's good to have an opportunity to explore, to think about things, not to rush into something, just because it's been done for, the last 20 years. We're not living the last 20 years. We're living the next 20 years. And, some of the major industries might have significant changes in them. Probably they would. So it does give students a little bit of smoothening transition time to evaluate their next decision.
So, with the business programs, the tech programs that students can enroll themselves in, what are the promising sectors that are opening up that Indian students can see as opportunities for themselves?
Well, firstly, I wish I had a crystal ball because um, it's, as you know, every industry is changing. What I would say is that after the US and China, the UK is the third largest AI startup space. And when we say AI, it's a broad space. It can be AI in consultancy. It can be AI in the medical field. It can be AI in big pharma. It can be AI in almost any field. And there's various different startups for various different industries. And students, looking to the future, they would really benefit from, speaking with these people, having them as mentors, having them as people that could guide them. I would say nobody currently knows the future because it's changing and adapting, and different things impact, things differently. But what I would say is gaining the expertise, or understanding or conversations with the top talent that there is in the UK, whether they choose to, uh, you know, come back to India or go to the Middle East or Southeast Asia. I think this conversation, this network that they've built in London will serve them very well wherever they go.
Thank you so much. That's indeed an interesting. I have a cricket analogy for that. It's like a 5 day test where you have to grind through and
Yes.
make sure that you
Yes.
can do what you want.
No, absolutely. You couldn't be more right on that point. And I do tell students in the initial stages, you might struggle in whatever job or internship that you are, but you have to play the long game and look at long opportunities. UK can sometimes be a difficult place to start, but once you're in the system, it's a very good place to grow. So initial struggles and hard work, but it will be rewarded in the long term.
That's exactly what. Thanks so much, Gaurav, for being with us and for this conversation. Focus on the long term. Make sure that you can partake of the gains that come with that long term vision. Thank you so much for watching.